Good evening. My name is David Rosenbloom, and I am the director of the International Tax Program, which is an entirely separate program, although we had a brief panel before this program started this afternoon where some of our early graduates said that it really wasn't so different. It was really part of the overall one program, and the international program was just part of it. I come to you from a different route from many of the other speakers. I am not a graduate of NYU Law School. I do not have an LLM from NYU in tax or anything else. I don't have an LLM anywhere. I have, however, taught at 5 law schools. And NYU is the 5 law schools in the United States. And NYU is the 5th one that I have taught at. The longest one that I taught at previously was Harvard, where I was on and off for 13 years. Started teaching international taxation in 1984, and I've taught VAT or related subjects ever since. And one thing, I come not as sort of a family member, although I've now been here for 14 years, but I come with a really profound admiration for what NYU has done in the international space. And I'm not sure it's as well appreciated as people, as it might be. NYU got into this international tax program. First year was 1996, 1997. The esteemed Paul McDaniel, who's been referred to many times, was the leading light in starting the program. And we now have, from that program, over 500 alumni around the world from, by my count, somewhere between 45 and 50 countries. There's a little ambiguity there because you get people like, I'm thinking of a woman named Van Harris, who was actually from outside Nairobi, Kenya, but had been at Goldman Sachs in London before she came to the program. So is she from the UK or is she from Kenya? I don't know. But we have alums and we have students from all over, and every year there's a bit of a surprise. Next year we're going to have our first 2 students from Georgia. We will also have only our second student from Ecuador. NYU has really walked the walk in the international area, and I say that as someone who's really quite familiar with what other law schools have done, including Harvard, including Stanford. I'm less familiar with Penn and Columbia, although I taught there. But most of these schools have for quite a few years talked about how they want to become active in the international area. NYU really put its money where its mouth was and started this program. And the program has been incredibly vibrant. Every year we admit, we've just sent out letters of admission recently, we admit to our international tax program somewhere between 14 and 28 or 30 students. We would take more, but that seems to be year after year the range that we attract. The qualification for being in this program is that you must be a lawyer and you must have your first law degree abroad. You can be, and some very few people are, U.S. citizens. I can think of 2 over the 14 years that I've been here. Generally speaking, they are not U.S. citizens. In the early days, the idea, at least Paul McDaniel's idea, was that the students would go back to their home countries. That proved to be not entirely realistic. And as the years went on, numbers, not all, but substantial numbers wanted to stay in the United States and found either temporary employment or permanent employment in the United States. It's a small program by comparison with the graduate program. Many of our students have not been in the United States at all before coming to New York. Some have been here only for a very brief time as tourists. It is a bewildering experience for some of them. There are others who are much more familiar with New York and with the United States, but in general, it's a different population than one thinks of when one thinks of the graduate program. On the other hand, it's also true that the graduate program is now, for quite a few years, admitted a substantial number of foreign students. So it is probably somewhat confusing from the standpoint of I don't know, Beijing or Santiago or somewhere, to look at the NYU course offerings and the program offerings and to decide just what is the difference between this graduate program and this international program. Well, the big difference is we're smaller. And because all of our students are foreign, it tends to be a bonding experience in a way that is much harder to achieve when you're talking about 120 or 130 students. We try to give the students who are here for a very brief time, and 8 months goes by like a shot, we try to give them the year that is going to be the best year of their lives in every way we can. We do require more than the graduate programs, certain courses be taken. There are, out of 24 credits to graduate, there are 16 required credits in the international program. The graduate program is a lot more flexible, I think. It is a very high quality experience in terms of education. And I meet with all of the students at the beginning of every year, one by one. And I tell them essentially, and there are some in the audience, they all know this, I tell them three things. I tell them, first of all, that they're probably going to learn more from their fellow students than they learn from their professors, because the quality of the students that we attract from other countries is just amazing, and it gets better every year. And there's an awful lot to learn when you're spending a lot of time closely together with people that you would not otherwise have a chance to meet at all. Secondly, I tell them to take the program very seriously, because it is serious and people want to see performance, they want to see excellence. But the third thing I tell them, and this is very meaningful for the students from abroad, is to make sure that they don't leave here without experiencing New York City, because that's one of the attractions in our program that is really so important. We offer, in addition to the educational opportunities in the courses, we have a seminar program that is extremely active. This year we will have 17 seminars on Friday afternoons. The public is invited. We sometimes get members of the press. We get all sorts of people. Anybody can come, and we actually serve sandwiches. I'll tell you about that program, which I started when I took over for Paul after the 6th year. That's become sort of a practical supplement to the coursework. The idea of those seminars is to bring in practitioners, people, not only practitioners, government people, academics from around the world. Anybody who I can find and entice to come talk to the students for an hour and a half, we have these seminars. For example, just to give an example, an immediate example, we will have one of these seminars tomorrow afternoon, and it's going to be on the development of controlled foreign corporations in Brazil by a practitioner from a large law firm in Sao Paulo. That's a pretty typical thing that we'll do. After that, the next one is going to be by a practitioner from Chavez Ruiz in Mexico City. I'm sure he's going to talk about tax developments in Mexico. That's the kind of thing that we do in our seminars. We also have plenty of U.S. presenters. One thing I wanted to report on and just mention is that we have organized also what we call a practice council, which is an advisory board, and the origins of it are really go back to our opening lecture in the year, the Tillinghast Lecture. We have Tillinghast Lecture as our intellectual kickoff for the International Tax Program. It takes place usually in September or October of each year. This year we had Pascal Saint-Amand, who is the head of the he's the head of the OECD tax office and was the leader of the base erosion and profit shifting project for the OECD, a very, very popular and very much in demand speaker. And Pascal gave a great lecture, and we're going to be publishing that later on. Any event, I wanted to have this, put this Tillinghast lecture on a sound financial footing. And together with the late Leonard Turr from Baker McKenzie, we put together something that we call the Practice Council. The Practice Council is our advisory board. We didn't do a lot of organizing to put it together. We basically went through our combined Rolodexes, sent out letters, and said to everybody that we addressed that it's going to cost you $5,000 to be part of this group. We would like you to come in. We would like to have funding for it, but we also want you to play a role in development of the international tax program. We got 33 return mail acceptances. The Practice Council is now at 59 people from 23 countries. We meet once a year. We're about to meet in April. People fly in from Asia, from around the world. Not the entire membership, but we usually get about somewhere more than half every year. So I'm quite proud of that. And the Practice Council members get first dibs on taking these Friday seminars, and they usually take up many of them. So that's another feature of the program. Another thing that's happening and that I'm very pleased with is that we've long offered to our students the opportunity to do internships. For many years, we've had an internship in the summer with the International Monetary Fund in Washington. This year, we have now, I think, permanently, but certainly temporarily, arranged for 2 separate internships with the tax function at the United Nations. So our students, having come here to study with us for 8 or 9 months, can then spend a couple of months, if they prevail in getting these fellowships, working in that capacity. This is all fantastic from the standpoint of NYU's reputation, its reach. We have, I think it's fair to say, we have literally 400 or 500 very, very loyal NYU alumni around the world that we can call upon, and we do call upon, for all sorts of things, including recruiting of our students, coming to give conferences, organizing seminars, et cetera. So I'm happy to report that the International Tax Program, and this is its 20th anniversary, it's coincidental, the same as the 70th of the graduate program, is strong and vibrant. We have just sent out admission letters to 36 students from 21 countries, and we'll see how many of them we get next year. I would imagine somewhere in the 20s. Later in the year, probably after graduation, we are going to put out a volume. This will be the second volume that we've put out. This is in celebration of 20 years of the ITP. And in there, we will have texts of some of the Tillinghast lectures, Pascal Saint-Amand's lecture. We'll have articles by the foreign professors who come to teach in our program. We have a visiting foreign professor every year. This year, it's Professor Luis Chuere from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Next year, it'll be Richard Vann from the University of Sydney in Australia. This is a truly international program. It is not just a veneer of international. This is truly international. We try to make it as broad as we possibly can. And I'm just very proud and pleased to be given the opportunity to be up here and to be directing it. So thank you.